I want to know why the hell I keep saying they.
I don't know.
It's going.
Okay, we're now back on tape, and at 16:11 hours, Diane, you were talking, or you were answering a question that I had about why you turned right on Sunderman. Or why you turned
off of Sunderman onto Marcola.
And proceeded northbound.
Right.
Okay.
About a week after I got here, my dad took me up that road and across a pass someplace, and we came back down Deerhorn. It's a very scenic ride. And I kept promising the kids I would take them, and as long as we were up in that neighborhood, I figured that was a good time. That's why I turned right on Marcola. I wasn't lost.
Okay, and you went up to the north end of Sunderman.
Yeah.
For what reason did you stop and turn around again?
Well, because I looked in the back seat and Christy was asleep.
Oh.
There was no sense in going sightseeing. I'd already seen that route.
The kids had conked out.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Christy had. Cheryl was still awake.
How about Dan?
I don't know. He was quiet. I'm assuming he was asleep.
Okay. I lost my train of thought.
Well, basically, you were asking if she was lost.
I was lost,
No,
yeah.
You were just, what you're saying is you were going sightseeing and you decided not to.
And I turned around because the kids
fell
were
asleep.
correct.
But you knew exactly where you were going.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know exactly where I was going to end up. And that's another reason I turned around, because, like I said, my dad took me across a pass of some sort. There's a road up there somewhere, but I don't know the name of the road. And it was dark, and I didn't know if I could recall, because it was daylight when my dad and I went. I didn't know if I would know the landmarks. So that was another reason I turned around, because I was afraid I would get lost. I mean, I wouldn't get lost. I could turn around, of course, and retrace my steps, but I don't think that I could have found Deerhorn in the middle of the night. So, but I wasn't lost at that time, no.
Your father indicates that you left at about 10 till 10?
Yeah. Heather's house.
Did you make any other stops between there and where this occurred?
No.
Did you drive excessively slow or anything like that?
No, I drive about 40 miles an hour. It seems slow to dig. Trace.
Yeah, it is slow enough.
But after the shooting, you were scooted to the hospital.
I don't know.
You don't remember?
I didn't know that road. I'd never been on the road, and it was dark. I was looking in the back seat of the car most of the way, so I can't tell you that I was driving fast. I was driving slow enough that I didn't go off the road. I also know that I don't remember that road. When I went back out there with you and Tracy, as a matter of fact, after I reenacted the thing for you,
Right.
I recall saying that how long that road was. I don't remember. The road seemed like it was a half a mile long that night. And I don't know if that just means I remember a half a mile of the road or what. I don't know. But I remember when you guys took me out there, I couldn't get over how long that road just kept going and going and going. So I don't know how fast I drove. I don't know how slow I drove. I don't even remember driving the road. I remember looking at Christy almost the whole time and talking to Danny because he kept crying. And I remember almost hitting a fence. I remember reaching over and rolling Sherry's window down because I couldn't get my arm down to open my window, and I couldn't reach the steering wheel without killing myself.
Where was your arm? Was it in your lap?
Yeah, I picked it up and put it in my lap.
Okay.
And
Was it bleeding pretty good then?
I don't know.
You don't remember?
I don't remember. I know that when I got to the stop sign, my arm was cold. I looked down to see if I was bleeding a lot, and there was a towel wrapped around it. And I don't remember putting the towel on there either.
Okay. So you don't know if you really raced to the hospital
I have no idea.
Or if you just drove
Or if I
slow.
stopped, I don't know. I have no idea at all.
Did you stop?
I don't know.
I mean, if you might have stopped somewhere to check on the kids or whatever?
I have no idea. I can't imagine that I would stop because my motive was to get the kids to the hospital. That was my goal. And I just can't imagine myself stopping.
You would
and
probably...
I don't want to believe that I stopped.
Wouldn't have been driving slow then either, obviously.
I would imagine not.
Okay.
I'm a little confused now because during the first interviews, you seem to be pretty definite about what you did. And now...
Go back to the interview. Go back to the tape.
Which tape?
I did a tape for you guys.
The very first one?
Yeah. And that tape, I told you that I got in the car, I left, I picked my arm up and put it in my lap. I was very definite about everything that I told you, but I was not definite about the things that I didn't know. How can I be definite about things I don't know?
Do you remember being definite about your speed?
No.
What do you remember telling us about your speed?
I don't remember what I told you, but I can tell you that I remember that I was going fast enough to get to the hospital on time and slow enough to stay on the road and not wreck.
On time?
They were all alive.
Okay, that's what you mean on time then.
Well,
That
of
you
course.
got there while the kids were still alive.
Of course. I had accomplished my goal, which was to save the kids. They killed Cheryl, I didn't. I wasn't the one that took too long driving to the hospital or whatever. My dad tries to say maybe I blacked out.
You don't think you did?
If I did, I don't want to think it.
Whoever had their gun in their hand is the one that killed Cheryl.
I agree, but I am the mother and I was there. Why didn't I do something? That's what Nick keeps telling me. Why didn't you do something? I don't know why. There's a lot of
I've
things
wondered that myself.
a lot of things I don't want to.
It would seem that
Accept.
under those circumstances, it would seem that anybody would do something, anything, grab this guy,
I agree.
scream,
Gouge his eyes
pick
out.
pick up anything you can get your hands on.
I agree with you. I can't argue because you're right. And I'm not the type of a person to take anything laying down. And that's why Nick asked me, because Nick and I have wrestled, and I'm a fighter. Why didn't I? Do you know why? Do you?
No,
I have no idea.
I don't either.
that's one of the things we're wondering. I mean, there's a lot of things that the term suspect isn't just something we arbitrarily put on somebody to take away their kids. It's something that there's a lot of
Aha! You admit it.
questions. No, I haven't admitted anything.
You're blushing.
I haven't admitted anything.
Okay.
What I'm saying is the term suspect.
It's something you put on somebody because they don't have the answers.
There's a lot of questions, right? It took you too long to get to the hospital. It did.
It didn't. My kids were alive.
Whether they were alive at the time or not, it took too long according to the way everything turned out.
So there was a time lapse.
Right.
Everybody keeps saying there is, and I
It's a
just
big
can't see
time
it
lapse.
because I know that I remember leaving Heather's house. I remember driving up the road. I remember stopping. I remember everything happening and getting in the car and driving straight to the hospital. And I keep saying there can't be a time lapse.
There is.
There is.
Then something
A big one.
happened. Then something happened
What?
that I don't remember. Well, I don't remember, and you know that. And maybe it took longer than, I don't know. God, if I could remember, I would tell you.
You
I
think?
feel like, what?
You're probably going to get mad at me.
Go ahead, I've been mad at lots of people.
Yeah, but you haven't been mad at me yet.
Give me a chance.
You've been under a lot of stress. You said something earlier that you were possibly blocking out this horrible thing that you saw.
Yeah.
And that's why you may have forgotten a lot of these things, or you just blocked them out on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any kind of idea at all what this horrible thing could have been?
No, I don't.
I mean,
Say what you're saying.
what I'm trying to say is,
What you're trying not to say.
no, you said it was more horrible than watching Christy
Get shot.
get shot and bleeding and everything else, and I can't think of anything more horrible than that
Neither can I.
at all.
Neither can I.
So what would you have to block out that would be more devastating than that?
I don't know. I told you that talking about it with you guys wasn't going to fix it.
Well,
I gave it a shot. I really did. I tried.
It's too late to fix anything. I mean, you know.
I mean my mind. Steve calls it fixing it. When we got our divorce, he said that he wouldn't leave me alone until I went to the shrink and got fixed.
Do you think you need a shrink?
To understand what happened that night? Probably. Because no amount of talking. I take it back. Talking to Nick really seems to... It used to help. I don't think it does anymore, because like I said, he sounds too much like you guys now. He presses. And I can't... When somebody presses, I resist.
well, he has questions too, I'm sure.
I know, he does, because...
And you can't fault him for that.
I don't hold it against him at all, but I don't feel comfortable with him anymore. Nick and I had something that was very special that most people never have. And I could tell him everything. I could open up to him if I felt lonely. He would listen. No matter what it was, I could talk to Nick about it and he could make it better. But I can't do that because he presses now. He pushes. And I understand because of what we had, and you guys have made me look like such a suspect that he feels that I'm a suspect, and he doesn't trust me. Maybe that's it. He doesn't trust me, so I don't trust him. I don't know.
I'm curious about the shrink thing again. You say you think you might need one to help you remember.
Yeah, I think it might help.
Why? I mean, other than...
I don't know.
We're not talking about hypnotists now. We're talking about psychologists or psychiatrists.
Because when I talked to Nick, when I first started talking to Nick a week ago or whatever, things started coming back. And there were hard things, like, I don't know, like the impression that that person wasn't alone. That's a hard thing to swallow for me. I don't know why, but it is. And feelings that don't have words to them would come back. Different fears that I can't label yet, but were starting to come out just because I could talk to Nick. And because he was receptive. But now that he's become pushing, I can't open up anymore. That's why I think a shrink would help, because I could open up without feeling pressed, without feeling that I'm in trouble if I say the wrong thing, that maybe my mind really still believes that I'm going to get killed if I say it. And it doesn't feel safe, because you guys are my enemy, whether you believe it or not. You're my enemy as much as the person that shot me is my enemy.
We're not anybody's enemy. We're trying to find out who shot your kids.
I know that, but you guys think that I did it. That makes you the enemy. You built a fence by suspecting me and gossiping and all the little things I heard in the halls. And whether you like to admit it or not, the mind is a very tricky thing. And it's going to protect you at any cost. And as long as you guys seem like the enemy, I'm not going to remember. And as long as Nick seems like the enemy, not even an enemy, I don't trust him anymore. He's not going to help me remember either. It was starting to. The feelings were coming back, the fears, the emotions. Yesterday I ended up crying because he kept pressing me. Think, Diane, remember. And I ended up just crying and saying, no, I don't want to. It scares me. And he's pushing. But if somebody that I really trusted would just talk to me, I really think that something would come out. And I don't mean with hypnosis. I mean just my mind trusting somebody.
Did you ever stop and think maybe Nick's scared?
Yeah, he is. Because he said that. He says, how do I know that you didn't want to get rid of the kids and then come back and kill Charlene? And then who knows what? And I said, that's insane. Why did he think that?
Why would he think something like that? If it's,
I don't know.
It's pretty bizarre.
I don't know. Because when somebody, listen, you don't know Nick. You'd have to know Nick. He doesn't like trouble. And there's nothing more troublesome than murder. And he also knows that Charlene hates me and that I'm not particularly fond of Charlene. I wouldn't kill her. But if my kids end up dead, and the first thing I said to him on the phone after this happened, the next morning, I said, I think they suspect me. And that immediately put doubt in his mind. If the police, the high and mighty Royal Mounted Police, suspect I did it, how could they be wrong? I must have done it. They must have evidence. He's a very logical person. He goes by tests. And if you guys thought I did it, you must have had a good reason for thinking I did it, so therefore I must have done it So, he suspected me too.
Have you been totally truthful and candid with us and thus far
Yes.
with all the interviews?
Yes.
There's nothing that you have knowingly omitted?
No. The only thing
telling
that I
us?
knowingly admitted from you is telling you that the man used my name.
And you knew that?
That night, no.
You were
That
conscious
night
of
when
that?
No.
Oh.
That night when I told you guys what happened, it wasn't conscious.
Okay, when did it become a conscious thing? When did you
I don't
remember
know.
that you had omitted that?
I don't know. I think it was one night when I went to sleep and I was very discouraged. And I can't remember which time in the hospital it was, the first time or the second time. But I went to sleep scared because you guys were persecuting me, pursuing me. I couldn't see my kids without a guard. You made damn sure that I understood that I was a suspect. And I knew that I didn't do it. And I went to bed feeling sorry for myself, saying, who do I hire to protect me from the people that are my tax dollars are paying to protect me?
This is why you're still in the hospital?
Yes. And I dreamed that night, and I remembered. I dreamed about the shooting. And I don't remember the conversation in the dream at all, but when I woke up, my first impression was, that man knew me. And then I thought about it all day. Why do I think that man knew me? Why did he know me? And so I just sat and I deliberately thought about that night, knowing that I would never tell anybody, just thinking for myself, trying to figure it out. So it must have been the second time I was in the hospital, because at that time I wasn't talking to you guys at all. That's right, because I went to sleep thinking that you guys were persecuting me. And the first time in the hospital, I didn't feel that way.
How long did you wait before you told anybody about this?
About a month ago.
You told somebody a month ago?
Yeah.
This,
It wasn't us.
No,
Oh.
it wasn't you.
Okay.
At that time, I wasn't talking to you guys. You weren't talking to me. I'm not going to tell you who it was, because it doesn't really matter.
it does matter, Diane.
Why?
Because we're talking about a murder investigation, and we can't play little games like we've been playing.
This is a big game. It's not a little game.
I realize that it's not a game.
It's a serious one, too.
I know it's very serious.
And
My daughter's dead. There's nothing more serious than that.
That's right. That's right. If you told somebody about this a month ago, we need to confirm that.
I told 2 people a month ago. I told my attorney for one.
A month ago.
Yes.
Okay.
Does your attorney know the truth, the whole truth?
And nothing but the truth.
Something like that, yeah.
He knows everything I just told you guys, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not going to sit here and put myself on the spot and say that it's the whole truth, because I know damn well that I don't remember everything, so it can't be the whole truth yet. So I'm not going to...
As much as you know, that's all we can
yes.
ask for.
Okay, yes.
All right. And there's been nothing omitted?
No. At this point, no. Not voluntarily. Like I said, I don't trust you guys. So there's a lot of things I'm sure that are there.
Why wouldn't you trust us? You keep saying...
Do you want a good reason why I wouldn't trust you guys? Because when I was in the hospital the very first time, I could hear people talking out in the hall saying,
well,
there are too many discrepancies.
We went through that, and there are. There still are.
Well, I know that, but you didn't have to say it so I could hear it.
Well, I don't
You guys
recall...
built the fence.
Okay, I don't recall...
First of all, I felt persecuted. Maybe you didn't know that. But a person that gets shot feels real persecuted. Granted?
Okay.
Okay. I felt persecuted. I also didn't trust anybody. And you couldn't understand that either. I didn't understand that, but I didn't trust anybody. The nurses I trusted, I don't know why. I guess because they were taking care of me and they had the chance when I was knocked out to get rid of me, and they didn't. But for some reason I trusted the nurses. I didn't trust anybody else though. You guys came in smiling, giving the pretense that you were trying to help. Maybe you were trying to help, but when I heard you go out in the hall and say things that were not kosher with what you were saying to my face, that made me not trust you too, put you on the list. That's why I don't trust you. The things you said to my face weren't the things you were saying behind my back.
Well,
And it wasn't intentional, I'm sure. But like you said, it's a game.
I'm trying to be as honest with you as I can, and there's just a lot of discrepancies that
I
just
agree.
bother me. tremendously.
You should have come to me straight away and said, there's a discrepancy. We think you did it and this is why. You shouldn't have played games. And I know you can't know everybody's psyche and know how to treat everybody individually. But everybody is an individual.
That's true.
And there's no way you could have gotten a real quick report on how to treat Diane with the questioning. But you don't lie to me for one thing. Don't ever lie to me, because I hate lying more than anything in the world.
Have I lied to you?
I can't say that you have specifically, no.
Okay. I'm not lying to you now.
That's why I'm sitting here.
And by the way, you got the right to go out the door.
I know,
anytime
I'm
you
just
want.
getting, as soon as this tape's over, I will be too, but, because I'm starting to get tired and I am hungry. I think I ate something yesterday, so I was lucky. My life is not very calm anymore. But anyway, I'm sorry if I don't trust you. I think if I did trust you, things would be a lot different.
Do you think that you'd be able to come up with this suppressed information if you
I don't know, I'm
trusted
not a
us?
shrink. I don't know.
Well, you indicated earlier that
Yeah.
Because you
That
don't
because
trust
I
us.
trusted Nick and I was able to talk to Nick a couple of times, I started feeling things that scared me. Things, whenever I was talking about the incident, that terrified me. And there's no reason, because I already supposedly knew what happened that night, and I wasn't as terrified as I was getting. I mean, it was getting worse and worse. Therefore, something was coming. But the door shut on Nick, I think. I don't know that it is. Perhaps. Every day that I talk to Nick, it's different. Nick is just that kind of a person. He goes by his feelings. And if he's angry one day, he takes it out on whoever. He doesn't take it out. He doesn't get physical with people, but he becomes impatient. He doesn't want to listen or whatever. And maybe the time will come that I can talk to Nick again. But I know that I can't talk to you guys. But if I could talk to somebody that I felt comfortable with, I think something would come out. I don't give you any guarantees, just like you guys don't. But all I can tell you is what I know. When I felt comfortable with Nick, I was feeling things that scared me when I was talking about the case.
Well, you said the other day that you didn't really care if we ever found this guy, and that you kind of wish the whole thing would be dropped.
Yes.
Still true? You still feel that
No,
way?
I don't.
You
I don't anymore.
You changed your mind since the other day?
As exciting as it has become, not exciting, that's a bad word to use. You said exciting, but it's become exciting to you. It's become a mystery to me. I thought I knew what happened. The fact that I didn't remember certain things didn't trouble me. Now it does.
How badly do you want this thing solved?
Bad. I want my kids back. And I know that I didn't do this. And if the only way that I can get my kids back is to prove who did it, I want to solve it. Because I know I didn't. So maybe I should quit talking to you guys altogether.
I've been...
That's not going to help you.
No.
I know.
It's up to you, totally. I mean, you know you weren't forced to come here today.
Oh, I know that. I know.
And you're doing this on your own.
I know.
Like I said before, I have been working this case since the very beginning, and there are a lot of questions. A lot.
Is this tape recorder on you?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I hate my voice, but that's okay. It sounds different
I thought-
inside my head.
I got the impression you were getting uncomfortable, and I thought maybe the tape recorder.
No, it's just when the tape's over, I'm done. I'll finish out the tape with you then. Why, was there a question?
A lot of questions.
I'm sure you do.
But
So
if
do
you
I.
don't want to stay here, I can't keep you.
You're starting to look like a pouting child, Kurt. You're sitting there with a whole bunch of questions, and you're just not going to play ball if I don't let you bat.
You want to play ball?
Yeah, I want to find this guy.
You ready to play hardball?
In other words, look in my mind and scare the hell out of myself again.
I'm just asking. I mean,
That's what it's going to take.
you want to play softball or hardball?
I hate softball. That's a stupid game. I just want you guys to know that you have made it quite clear to me that there are a lot of voids in my memory from that night. I realized that there
You
were
agree
certain...
with that?
Yes, I do. There were certain little things that I didn't remember, but they didn't seem important, like I said. But now they seem to really be the main issue. I mean, it's what I can't remember that's going to make or break this case.
Aren't they important to you?
At first they weren't, because I knew I didn't do it, and I just figured that all the tests would prove I didn't do it. And so, like I said, it didn't matter whether you caught him or not. But now, it seems that the only way for my life to get back to normal is to catch him. And so, yeah, it has become an important issue that I find out what was in there.
It's very important to us.
I guess so. You seem to be impressing upon it. And like I said, it's become... It's like the forbidden door. I don't know if you were ever a little kid. You don't seem to act like you were ever a little kid. But were you ever told you couldn't do something? Or you couldn't go across the street? And you wanted to go across the street just to see what the heck was over there that you couldn't go see. But at the same time, you were afraid to because you knew that if Mom said don't go, there must be a damn good reason. That's the way I feel about this door. There's something behind that door that really happened that night. Something bad.
That was more horrible than watching
Christy
bleed.
yeah. And there was something there that I want to know what that was. But at the same time, my mind knows better than my conscious mind that it's bad, and you're not supposed to look. So I'm scared. But at the same time, I still want to look. I'm sure you don't understand that. You guys are probably too logical for that. It's called emotion.
There's an emotion that, the only thing that I can think of that is more horrible than watching a little girl shot and bleed, and to blank your mind out, is if I had some involvement in doing that.
I agree. That would be horrible.
That would probably be more horrible than watching a little girl bleed.
You're right. That would be terrible.
To think that I did that or I had some involvement in it.
Okay? I know for a fact that I didn't do it.
Why?
Because...
I can't remember.
You don't remember?
Right, I don't remember, but I do know that all of your tests...
Forget the test, Diane.
Okay.
I mean, really, forget the test. We keep talking about the tests.
I know that I didn't do it.
And in some cases, those tests are important. In other cases, they're a routine thing that's done.
So in this case, you did all that stuff for nothing, and I can't use it.
You can use anything you want.
You don't know what the results of the test were.
I know that I didn't shoot the gun. So I know that I didn't do it.
But you couldn't remember.
You don't remember. You're telling us you don't remember.
That's
I
what we're
remember
dealing
seeing
with.
Christy get shot. I remember the man reaching in the car and shooting her.
You sure you remember a man reaching in the car, too?
Yes, I do.
Then what could be more horrible than watching Christy get shot?
I don't know. I don't know. And I'm not going to sit here and try to make something up.
I don't want you to make
No,
anything.
if you don't know,
Good.
say so.
Thank you. You guys are starting to sound like Nick now.
No.
Thanks, Diane. Thanks.
Diane, I'm being straight with you. You
So
know,
am I.
I'm being flat out straight with you. You say there's a
Uh-huh.
void there, that something's missing, and I'm saying, and you're saying whatever it is more horrible than watching Christy bleed, and I'm saying the only thing I can think of that would be more horrible is if I had a gun in my hand and I saw that,
I agree with you. That would be devastating.
right? And that would create possibly a void.
Or perhaps it's knowing that it's going to happen and that you could stop it somehow. Or perhaps knowing that maybe, I'm going to say a bunch of maybes, and I don't want to say them. Because if it turns out that that was the reason, I mean, I can sit here and logically try to figure it out. And that isn't really going to help. I know what would be horrible. It's worse, if the world was going to end tomorrow, would you want to know about it?
Yeah,
Figures.
I would.
Would you?
Yep.
I wouldn't, because to me I would live the whole rest of this last day in agony, trying to do all the things I couldn't do, or trying to stop it when you knew that it was futile. And what if just knowing that it's going to happen? What if the man taunted me with it? What if he was telling me how he was going to do it? I don't know.